Hello, everyone. It's such a joy and such a delight to have you here today. And welcome to a brand new month. Welcome to the month of June. Welcome to the last month in the half of the year 2024. Wow, it's been such a journey of learning, a journey of developing, a journey of improving. And I hope that in this 6 months, or the past 5 months, you've been able to achieve the set goals and objectives for your organization. And if you haven't been able to, I want you to know that there is another opportunity opened up to you in this month that you can make the best use of. Thank you so much for joining in today. Welcome to another exciting and interesting episode on the Amogate Radio Communications Program. I remain your host, Adikpeju Jayoba, and together we've been considering the topic performance management and organizational productivity. And one of the things we've been doing together is seeing how performance management, or the entire performance management system, how it impacts and influences and affects the performance and productivity of employees in your organization. And one of the things that we've been able to establish is that a successful performance management will lead to improved, well-equipped, competent employees that would in turn achieve, lay down objectives or set goals or vision in your organization, and that would lead to success in your organization. So performance management is very essential, very key to any organization. Now, today we're going to be considering something that is very important to performance management, and we're going to be looking at effective performance management plan, or effective planning in performance management. Now, performance management, like we have seen or in different episodes, is a continuous ongoing process of training, of coaching, developing, and improving the employees in your organization, highlighting their areas of strength and ensuring that they continue in their areas of strength, and also noticing or pinpointing areas of weakness or areas they need to improve on to ensure that you have a well-rounded, competent employee. However, it is not enough to embark on a performance management exercise. You must plan for it. One of the quotes that I love is a quote by Antoine, de Saint-Exupéry, and he said, "A goal without a plan is just a wish." Meaning that if you have plans and or if you have a goal and you don't make plans, or you don't put effective plans to place, then all you have is a wish, and eventually you might not achieve the vision or the goal that you have for it. Meaning that effective planning is very essential if you're going to have an effective performance management run in your organization. So in today's dynamic workspace, one of the things we have come to realize is that an effective performance management plan is a cornerstone of organizational success. The popular saying by Benjamin Franklin, if you fail to plan, it's like you're planning to fail. So if you don't plan your performance management well, then it means you're setting up that system to fail, and you're most likely going to expose it to a lot of biases and a lot of errors. Remember when we talked about biases? Because you have the human factor as the raters and the appraisers. If you do not plan your performance management system well enough, biases will show up, and then errors will show up in your performance management, and it will be a total failure. So a performance management plan, when we're talking about a performance management plan, I'm talking about a structured approach that enables your organization to optimize your employees' performance, development, and engagement. Remember, we talked about performance management being an ongoing, continuous process of learning, training, development, coaching, improvement. So this plan is a structured approach that enables you or enables your organization to optimize your employees' performance, their development, and engagement. And what it encompasses a set of core components that work together to support employees in achieving their personal goals or in improving in their skills and abilities and contributing to the overall company's success. So why is performance management planning, or why is having a good performance management plan, why is it very important, or why is it very strategic to the success of the overall performance management system in your organization? The first thing it does is that it aligns individual and team goals with organizational objectives. So having an effective plan for your performance management ensures that everyone understands how their efforts, how their performance, how their contributions directly impact the company's success. And this means that employees can tailor their skills, tailor their contributions, their effort, tailor their competencies to achieve the laid down objectives in the organization. Another thing that having an effective performance management plan does is that it drives continuous improvement. When employees know what is expected of them and when they know how their performance impacts organizational success, it equips them with the tools and the support that is needed to actively develop their skills to reach their full potential. And it is not only for the employees, even on the part of the business leaders, on the part of the managers. You know the right training, the right support, the right development plans to provide to your employees to ensure that they are the best at their job role. So having an effective performance management plan is very important. Another thing it does is that it boosts employee engagement. When you have an effective performance management plan, it fosters a culture of open communication, honest feedback, and development, which keeps your workforce motivated and engaged. When your employees know what is expected of them, you tell them, oh, you're doing well at your job, but you need to get better at this, and then training is supplied or given to them. It keeps them motivated, it keeps them engaged because they know they are getting value, they're getting better, they're getting more skilled and competent, and that will keep them engaged and motivated. Another thing it does is that it allows you make data-driven decisions. When you have an effective performance management plan, or when you plan your performance management system, what you would do is that you would make data-driven decisions rather than make intuitive decisions. Now, I'm not crossing out the place of intuition. One of the things that great leaders, particularly transformational leaders, is that they sometimes trust their intuition. We call it gut feeling. Sometimes you don't have data or evidence to prove that something is going on, but you just pick it up with your sixth sense and it turns out to be correct. However, in performance management, you need to be as accurate as possible to ensure that your performance appraisal or your performance management system is effective and correct. So when you plan your performance management system, or you have a plan, it allows you to collect valuable insights from performance metrics to inform strategic decisions and to track progress that would eventually lead to the success of organizational goals. And then lastly, when you have an effective performance management plan, you create a structured and consistent approach to evaluation, which will ensure both fairness for employees and measurable results for the organization. One of the things I don't want us to forget about performance management is that it does two things. Performance management is good at doing two things, and I've repeated it in my previous episodes. It improves the employees and it also achieves organizational goals. So when you have a proper planning, or when you properly plan, performance management, you would achieve both, as improving the skills, abilities, and competencies of your employees to ensure that they are at their best, and you would also achieve, lay down or set vision, goals, and objectives for the organization. So very quickly, we're going to look at how do you implement an effective performance management plan in your organization. Now, okay, it is good to run performance management, but how do I come up with an effective plan? I would take us through the steps. And then the first is goal setting. You set the goal. The second is performance management framework. The third is developmental plans. Have developmental plans. The fourth is performance reviews. The fifth is feedback mechanisms. And the sixth is evaluation. Let's get right into it. So the first step to implementing or developing an effective performance management plan is set organizational goals. Set organizational goals. I remember seeing a quote somewhere, and it says, if you don't know where you're going to, then you will board any bus going anywhere. Meaning that you can end up in any destination because you don't know where you're going to. In the same vein, if there are no set organizational goals, then what exactly do you expect of your employees? What exactly do you demand of them? In what areas do you improve their skills? So it is important. This is the foundation. The objectives, the performance management system must be built upon clear and measurable organizational objectives. And these objectives should align with the company's mission and vision. Okay, so one of the things you want to do in setting the organizational goals is to brainstorm and prioritize goals. Now, a lot of goals can come up. And my colleague Tolo Modara would always say, and I would always, say whenever I have the chance, that if your organization has more than 2 to 3 strategic goals, maybe for a period or for a year, then those goals are not strategic. It has to be clear. It has to be concise. There must be specific things you want to achieve. So one of the things you want to do is you want to brainstorm and prioritize. Tolomodara will call it strategic prioritization. You want to look at, you can have a lot of, goals for the year for your organization. We want to be the best in this. We want to be the best in customer service. We want to have, increased number of customers. We want to be the best in the industry. It can be a lot, but it can also be a lot to achieve, and it might become unrealistic and unattainable. So limit it, prioritize your goals, limit it to 2, 3, at most 4. Consider factors, that can affect those goals, like market trends, customer needs, and your company's long-term aspirations. Another thing you want to do is engage in open discussions with stakeholders to gather diverse perspectives, ensuring that there is a comprehensive understanding of what truly matters to the organization. There are some goals that sound beautiful, but they don't align with the vision of your organization, or they are probably not needed for the long term. It might look beautiful for the short term, but it might eventually not lead to productivity or success in the long term. So you want to also discuss with your stakeholders, your employees, executives, customers, to ensure that you're getting a wide perspective to the goals. Another thing you want to do is that ensure that your objectives are defined by the key results you want to achieve. What will these objectives achieve? And that would help you in goal setting. What do we hope to achieve at the end of 6 months? What do we hope to achieve at the end of the year? What do we hope to achieve in 5 years? That will determine your objectives, and also cascade the goals, break down the goals into small individual or departmental goals, so that each goal, you could just say we're going to have 1,000 clients by the end of the year. You want to break that down into actionable steps and goals for each department. What is each department supplying? What is each individual or each employee supplying to ensure that the goals are achieved? So it is very important that you cascade the goals, or you break them down into smaller units. That is the goal setting part of your planning. The second step is, after setting organizational goals, the next thing you want to do is establishing performance management framework. And what you want to do here is that you want to ensure that you're picking a system or a model or approach to performance management that works best for your organization. Remember when we talked about different approaches to performance management, performance appraisal, and I said that, at the end, that which one would we call the best fit? Everyone can work in your organization depending on the needs in your organization. So at the second stage, which is establishing performance management framework, you want to choose a performance management model. That means you want to outline the specific processes and procedures for managing performance within your organization, which will also include how you want performance to be assessed, monitored, and reviewed, which, this is where the kind of approach or the kind of model will come into play, whether you want to use the 360-degree feedback, or you want to use the behavioral anchored rating scales, or you want to use the graphical rating scales, or maybe you just feel like we need to be brutal. We've come to where we need to use a forced distribution rating scales. We just need to cut some people out. It depends on what is needed in your organization. So you want to sit down to check out the pros and the cons, the advantages and the disadvantages of these different methods and approaches to your organization, and if those methods will achieve the goals that you want to achieve. It is very important. The third step: first, you set your goals, like I said. The second, you develop a framework, a performance management framework. The third is you develop performance goals. The third step to having or implementing an effective performance management plan is that develop performance goals. So at this level, you translate organizational strategic goals into individual or team performance objectives. And so what we're talking about is, yes, you have a corporate goal, but it is time to now break them down into individual and team objectives. And one of the things you want to do here is to use the objectives and key results, or what we call the OKRs. You want to use it as a goal setting framework in your organization, because one of the things the objectives and key results does is that it provides clarity, focus, and alignment throughout the organization. So like I said earlier, objectives talked about the goals of the organization, and then the key results make reference to what you hope to achieve at the end of the day. So how do you go about developing performance goals in your organization? Set ambitious but clear objectives. Set ambitious but clear objectives. So when I mean ambitious, I mean stretch your employees. Okay? be inspiring, be ambitious, be driven. Go for the next level. Go for the next step in your processes or in your business model or in your service delivery or your production. Stretch yourself to go for the next level. Okay? Someone would say that if your bar is so high, if your standard is so high, even if you fall below your standard, you still fall into a level of greatness. Okay, unlike if your standard is very low. So ensure that the objectives are ambitious and they are stretching your employees, pushing them to learn, pushing them to develop, pushing them to improve on themselves. However, ensure that it is clear. Ensure that it is not ambiguous, ensure that it's not vague, ensure that they know what exactly is expected of them and what exactly they are meant to do to achieve that goal. It's not enough to just say, we want us to be the best in the industry, and that's just the end. Best in the industry is, yes, best in the industry, but it can be very vague, and then the employees are wondering, what do we do exactly to become the best in the industry? Okay, so you could have a clear objective like increase customer satisfaction by 20% within the next quarter. That is clear, but that's also stretching. You want to ensure that your customers are satisfied. So set ambitious but clear objectives. Then you also want to define measurable key results. Define measurable key results. One of the things I would say is that when you're working on your plan, you must ensure that your objectives are smart. It is specific, it is measurable, it is attainable, it is relatable or reliable, and then it is time bound. So you want to ensure that the results you're expecting is measurable and attainable. So it should be, your objective should be quantifiable and achievable within a set time frame. So for example, your key results objectives can be reduce average response time to customer inquiries by 50%, which is a good thing to ensure that the response time to customers is lessened. So if it takes 30 minutes to respond to customers, now you want to reduce it to 15 minutes. That would, stretch your employees, but that's a key result. That's what you're hoping to achieve. Or say, achieve, an industry rating score of 9 or higher. Those are key results that are measurable, they are quantifiable and achievable within a time frame. The fourth step we'll be considering today on having or implementing an effective performance management plan is design performance reviews. So I'll start from the top. Your first step is set organizational goals. You want to set organizational goals in your plan when planning for an effective performance management. The second step is develop performance framework. Pick the models and approaches, technologies that work best for your organization, considering all the metrics, the advantages and disadvantages of the models or approaches. The third thing you want to do is you want to develop performance goals. And then the next step is designing performance review. So after you have developed performance goals, now that you know what each individual employee or group or team is expected to do, you want to set up reviews. It is a very critical component in the performance management process because it provides an opportunity for managers and employees to assess progress. Very important. You don't want to run a race. You'll be running for 50 meters only to realize you'll be running on the wrong lane. And in any Olympiad or any sporting event, running on the wrong lane can get you disqualified, even though you've exerted effort and energy and time. So you want to ensure that from time to time, managers and employees can assess progress, provide constructive feedback, and set or adjust goals for the future. It is very, very important. So these are things to consider when designing performance reviews. The first thing is consider the frequency and format. So you want to determine how often feedback goes on regarding project or regarding achieving laid down goals. Is it every week? Is it every month? Is it once in 2 months? You want to set the frequency, and then you also want to set the format. Is it formal? Is it going to be in a formal meeting? Is it informal? Can the employees drop their feedback at any time, round the clock, probably via email, just send it to their managers? You also want to consider the format. Another thing that is recommended is to have regular informal feedback sessions, because it's been realized that informal feedback sessions allow employees speak the truth. They can say things the way they feel. They can speak on the way they see things. It does not mean that they're 100% correct, but it's also good to take into consideration their perspective and expectations regarding certain objectives. It is very important. So you want to also implement an informal feedback session that allows employees to give feedback. Another thing is you want to ensure that it's a continuous, ongoing feedback mechanism, and you want to encourage a lot of one-on-one meetings. You want to encourage project check-ins. You want to encourage anonymous feedback tools. Very true. Sometimes employees are afraid to give their honest opinion because they're afraid of being picked on. They're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of being called names. But if you have an anonymous platform where they can drop their honest opinions or feedback about objectives or about projects going on in the organization, you get to have a feel, or you can see through their own eyes how they see the project going on. It also allows for timely interventions. If there's something that needs to be addressed promptly, you can attend to it on time. Then you will also want to conduct effective meetings where you train and coach your managers with essential skills for conducting performance appraisals. We considered this when we looked at reducing or limiting bias during performance appraisal. And one of the things we mentioned is that you must train your managers. You must coach them. They must be equipped with skills that is necessary to conduct a fair, standard, and thorough performance appraisal. So you want to do that at that stage. The next stage in your performance management plan is communicating and engaging the employees. Communicating and engaging the employees. And it goes without saying that clear communication and employee engagement are very necessary for building trust, fostering a sense of ownership, and ultimately achieving desired outcomes. Has it ever happened to you that you thought you had people on your team? You thought, you had, probably not even your organization. It could even be your family. You thought everyone was on board, maybe a certain plan or a certain idea, only for people not to turn up or for people not to, do what you expected of them. In the same vein, you want to ensure that you're communicating clearly with your employees and engaging them. It is very important. Okay, so what are the things to look out for at this level? Transparency is key. First of all, transparency is key. So clearly communicate the purpose and the benefits of the performance management system to both employees and managers. So this helps everyone understand their roles and responsibilities within the system, and it also helps them know what to expect. Sometimes performance management is never bad, but sometimes when people don't know what to expect, when they don't know it is a continuous system of learning and improving and coaching, people are wary when the HR manager, when their manager, calls them in and says, "Oh, I've been going through your performance in the last 3 months, who can become antsy and anxious and nervous and probably defensive. But when they know what to expect, it puts their mind at rest, and it allows them settling into what is expected of them. Then the next thing you want to do is define expectations. Clearly outline performance expectations for each role, for each employee, or for each department. And this includes, key responsibilities, desired skill sets, whether they're supposed to pick up a training in using a particular software, or they're supposed to, attend a particular course. Let them know what is expected in, upping their skill sets and desired behaviors. Okay, if you're going to be increasing customer care service by 10%, is there a way you want them to respond? Is there a way you want them to dress? Is there a way you want them to smile? All that, let it be clearly spelled out to your employees. Another thing to do at this level of communicating and engaging your employees is open dialogue. Encourage open and honest two-way communication throughout the process. Allow your employees be free to talk to the managers. Allow managers be free, and fair enough to also give their honest feedback to the employees. Allow that free two-way communication channel that allows, for questions, feedback, perspectives, and opinion sharing. It allows employees, it particularly make employees feel like they are a part of the project, and it would lead to them owning that project. Then you also want to involve them in goal setting. You want to involve them in goal setting. Remember, I said when I started with goal setting that you must have a discussion with the stakeholders, and your employees are part of your stakeholders. They matter a lot to the success of your organization, because no matter how great your dreams are, no matter how wonderful the vision you have for your organization, you need your employees to agree with you and collaborate with you to achieve that vision. You can't do it on your own. So ensure that they are on board when you're setting the goal. Encourage them to participate in setting their own performance goals with their managers. Encourage them to chip in, to bring in their contribution, their ideas. Allow them be a part of the goal setting. This increases employee buy-in, and it fosters a sense of ownership towards achieving those goals, like I said earlier. The last step I'll be considering today in having an effective performance management plan is evaluating and adapting the plan. Evaluating and adapting the plan. So while performance management is a continuous process, one of the things that must go on throughout your plan or while implementing the plan is evaluating and adapting the performance management plan. So it means that your performance management plan should be a living, dynamic, flexible document, not a static one, because things can change. Imagine setting objectives or goals, let's say a quarterly goal or even a yearly goal for your organization, and down the line, from feedback from your managers or employees, you discover that the plan, or the objectives you set for them is quite lofty and probably unachievable. One of the things you want to do is you want to adapt your performance plan to ensure that it is one that is measurable and achievable. Okay, so this is one of the ways to this is one of the ways to evaluate and adapt your plan continuously as the performance management process runs through the year, or runs through the quarter, or runs through whatever period you've set for it. The first is you want to do regular evaluations, conduct periodic reviews to assess the effectiveness of the performance management system, gather feedback from your employees and managers through surveys, interviews, focus groups, or one-on-one discussions. The second thing you want to do, apart from having regular evaluations, is collect feedback. Utilize various methods to gather quantitative and qualitative data on the system's effectiveness. You want to ensure that the performance management system is effective and that it is achieving what is being set up to achieve. So this might include, things like employee satisfaction surveys, analysis of performance metrics, or tracking improvement in key areas. So if performance management is aimed to improve the employees, you want to check, is it really improving the employees? Are the employees improving in their skill sets, or are they improving behaviorally? Are they improving in competencies? You want to ensure that you collect feedback to check that. And then the third part is make necessary adjustments. So based on the gathered feedback and data you get, adjust the performance management plan to address identified issues and improve its effectiveness. So this can include adjusting the review process, revising metrics, changing models or approaches, or incorporating new technology solutions. All this would ensure that your performance management plan is effective and is successful in your organization. Wow, I have said a lot today, and I hope you have learned a lot also today to ensure that performance management is not a pipe dream but a success in your organization. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for listening in. You can, for your questions, for your feedback, and your comments, please visit us at www.thearmorgate.org. You can also follow us on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to walk with you. We'd love to walk with you. That is why we are here. Until I come your way, same time next week, keep being amazing and keep reaching for the stars. Bye for now.